Hi you guys, it's your girl Chrissy and I'm back with another video. Please forgive my dry skin, but this is not even about makeup. This is not about planners. This is about something that's very dear to me, and that is funeral services. As I've told you guys before, I have taken I have my degree in funeral services. I took that degree way back in 2012 to 2013. I just really psyched myself out when it came to that, because I just got some issues that I'm working with the Lord. I end up taking both parts of the NBE. I passed the embalming section, which is the science portion, but the art seems to be a challenge for me. But I feel this time around I will pass. Not feel, I know I will pass. Now, if you don't have no God that you talk to or higher power, I don't know if you would enjoy this channel, because I do pray before I do studying, and I am affirming and I'm believing and I'm speaking and putting it in the atmosphere that everybody that watches this as well will pass the NBE. If you pray and believe and have the faith with the works, because faith without works is dead. Well, I'm gonna touch you the wrong thing. God forgive me for that. But the first few essentials that I would say that you need to study. Now, disclaimer, remember, I am studying, so you're studying with me. I haven't passed it yet, but when I take the test I will. Anywho, so what I need is, first you're going to need your glasses. So if you wear glasses, please get them glasses. There's no point of you looking at the words. I know you can't see it, because that won't help you. Okay. Second thing is, I would prefer that you turn some music on. I like to listen to let's see. Study music. It is okay. So I listen to Studying Music, Einstein Study Music Academy. That's what I listen to, and it's very soothing. And I tend to be able to still pay attention to my work with that. I know some people listen to their music, and that's fine if that works for you, but that works for me because I almost feel like I got ADHD. Like, my focus is all over the place at times. So you would need that. You're gonna need you some water, because scientifically it's proven 2 to 3 hours of studying every day will improve you on a test, prove you taking tests. You should be able to know how to do that stuff once you study 2 to 3 hours a day. I am going to put a timer on in increments with my study. Am I going to hold y'all the whole 2 hours? That's up to y'all. I don't want to hold nobody. I don't want to make nobody do nothing, because technically y'all looking at me study, so it's not like I can make y'all do any of these things. Now, then you're going to also need your water, and you're going to need a cup of coffee. Mine is brewing right now. I think it's actually done. Shameless plug, I am drinking New England coffee. I think it's cinnamon something. I don't know, but I'm gonna let y'all know when I go get it. Be comfortable, y'all. I always suggest to, this is just me, take a bath, smell good. I don't know, it just does something for you. It kind of perks you up to smell good or whatever like that. I get my study material. Now, the study material that I'm using is the notebooks that I had from when I went to school, because my professor behooved us not to throw away any notebooks and to not throw away any books. I did not do that. Now, one of the books I can't, for whatever reason, can't seem to find, but that's neither here nor there. So got that, and we're doing sociology today, funeral history and sociology. And then I also have the Taggart, which I got from the NBE review class by David Pendleton. Pendleton, I don't know. Him and Stephen Johnson, I think that's their name. They host a study session where they do, I want to say, it's like it's 2 days. You do 8 hours of studying. So it's from 9:30 to 4:30, and you do arts, and you could do science. I didn't take the science, I just took the arts. Now, each of them are $200 each. You get access to their testing stimulator. They've upped how long you get to keep. You get the little voucher for it, because when I went, it was 3 months. Now it's saying 6 months. Kind of agitated by that. But anywho, you can option to buy this book, because this is what I used in school as well, the Taggart. I looked everywhere to see if I could find it somewhere else besides in their program, but I just couldn't. The only reason why I got this, because I actually have it from school, is because it had been so long and it's a big stretch in years, and I know some new information might have been added. So that's the reason why I actually got this book. And it's true, just a little bit here and there. That's another reason why I hate that I stretched so long to take the other part of the test. So I'm using that and my notebook. And like I said, I'm going to get that coffee. I was going to show y'all the ooh, thank you. I hope it went up. The coffee that I'm drinking. I'm drinking New England coffee, cinnamon hazelnut. That's what I would be drinking today. And the creamer that I used was hazelnut by International Delight, I think. I don't know. And then I'm going to be using the caramel syrup. This thing says sugar free. Huh. Is this a lie? Sugar free. I don't know. We're gonna taste and see how it tastes, because I ain't really big on sugar free. So I'm gonna go ahead, and since I'm talking to y'all and we're gonna walk through this together, I won't turn my music on right now, but I will say we're gonna pray real quick. And bow your heads and say, Lord, Father God, I ask that you forgive us for anything that we've done that we know of and do not know of. Lord Jesus, this is a new year. We want to be new people. We want to pass this test with flying colors. We do not want to be unsure, but we want to be confident when we walk into that building to take that test, Lord God. And when we see that pass, that we will praise you and thank you. But Lord, I thank you anyhow, because I know that praising you I will give you the honor either way it goes. If it's not for me, it won't be for me, but I know it is for me, because you gave me greater in me. And I thank you, Lord, and I pray that these people continue to study, and I pray that they continue to believe in themselves to do what they need to do. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Okay, so me personally, y'all, I had kind of already studied a few days ago. My goal, like I said, is to study multiple times, throughout the week. So I'm going to set my timer up for clock 2 hours. I don't know what the alarm on. Should I do a timer? Let's do a timer. I don't know. Let's do 2 hours. It's going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and start that. I'm going to look over there and stop it periodically. So the main things that most of the professors talked about when I did take the class was key terms. If we don't do anything else, we need to know our key terms. So we're doing sociology. Turn this on. And I actually have a few tests in here, so I had to add it. So I just to look over. So first thing we should know is, if we're doing sociology, what is sociology? Anybody? Glad you asked. Sociology is the study of different society of people, study of social groups, which is a breakdown of it. Technically, sociology is the study of social, is basically studying people's socials levels or whatever. Now, the direct term from here is Introduction to Sociology of Human Services. It's a branch of social science that studies group behavior. Questions about the impact of group life on human thoughts, feelings, and behavior are basis of sociological thought today. Okay. And also, it's the psychology of group behavior, group psychology. It can be defined as a science and deals with various social groups that we encounter with the world today. It's so big, sociology is so big, because it determines how funerals actually go, or what customs or rites that people, or ceremonies, how the ceremony goes. How does people approach those things? So, for instance, if I am from Asia, my funeral may be a little different than an African American funeral. So the social status or the social science of the people that you're doing a funeral for is very important to get to know them or build a relationship so you can know these things. Okay. Like it speaks here. Funeral rites. So it's a relation between the groups. The funeral, the memorial service, the funeral rite, social function, the culture, the custom, the mores, taboos, folkways, laws, enculturation, or parentheses, socialization, subculture, cultural universal, cultural relativism, and ethnocentrism. Okay. So, what is a funeral? A funeral is rites with the body present. A funeral is the rites with the body present. The body is present. People who have no clue about funeral services will call anything a funeral when it's dealing with somebody that passed away. A memorial service is when the body is not present. You're memorizing them. You're memorializing them. You have a memory of them. Their body is not there. That's why you're memorializing them. Okay. Funeral rite is an all-inclusive term used to encompass all funerals and or memorial services. So it's just your right of everything. It's just everything, it's your right of whatever you want in the funeral or memorial service. You have a right to any kind of funeral that you please, basically. Okay, a social function is an event which allows those who have something in common with each other to deal with one another in regard to what they share. Funeral. The social function. Believe it or not, a funeral is a social function because people are getting together and they all have in common the person that has passed away. They might have known them from school, work, whatever, but that's all what they have in common, and it's a function. It's something going on. It's an event, believe it or not. Okay. And culture is consists of abstract patterns, the rules, ideas, beliefs shared by members of society of and for living and dying, which are learned directly or indirectly. So culture is learned just from you being in somewhere for a long period of time. If I lived in Asia, I'm going to learn a lot of things from them because indirectly I'm learning it even without trying. It's something that's just happening. I'm around it. It's my atmosphere. Okay. Customs, which is under culture. Customs come with culture. It's a social behavior as dictated by the tradition of the people. Mores is a must behavior. That's something you need to pay attention to. A must behavior. The reason why I said it because I remember my professor putting a big emphasis on a must behavior, and I believe I remember seeing must behavior on the test. A must behavior, the basic and important patterns of ideas and acts of people as related to treatment of the dead, which calls for a strong, y'all need to get y'all thing and highlight, strong reaction from the society if violated. A strong reaction from the society if violated. It's a must behavior. Morris is a must behavior of basic and important patterns of ideas and acts of people related to the treatment of the dead, which calls for a strong reaction for the society if violated. That ain't sugar free. Okay. Now that's a big deal, y'all. Taboos. A must behavior. Once again, that's a must behavior. So get you a different color highlighter. I'm going to get this blue. And I'm going to just highlight the must behaviors in this thing. Mores have must behavior and taboos have must behaviors. Must behaviors that dictates the individual must abstain from certain acts dealing with death. Now, you didn't hear a strong reaction from the society. You did not hear that. So you know that mores is a must behavior that has a strong reaction with the society. So mores, a must behavior that has a strong reaction from society. Now taboos is a must behavior, but it does not say anything about a strong reaction from society, but it says it must obtain from certain acts dealing with death. So it could be certain situations where people feel like, okay, in America, you could say, I don't know, trying to figure out what's it, because everybody got their own thing. I don't want to offend nobody by saying stuff that may be like, oh no, that's a more, so I'll just leave that alone. But just know it's a must behavior that you must abstain from certain acts dealing with death. You must abstain from certain things. But as a more, they want you to do it, basically, or you're gonna have a strong reaction from them. They're gonna be very upset with you. People gonna look at you crazy, you know. And then we have folkways, behaviors which are construed as somewhat less compulsive than mores of the same society. So this is a less compulsive, or yeah, let's say less compulsive than mores. That alone should be in your head. Folkways is less compulsive than mores. We already know mores is the most serious out of all of the words that we just said. We had mores, taboos, and folkways. Mores is on top, the highest that you can get in trouble for. It has a strong reaction to the society. Society is everything. Everybody always cares what people think. So mores is very, very serious. Taboos is not as serious, but you must obtain from it. It's a must behavior. You must obtain from certain things dealing with death. Folkways, a little under the more. Nah, but it's in the same society. See that right there, right? Yeah. Behaviors which are construed as somewhat less compulsive than mores of the same society and do not call for a strong reaction from the society if violated. So you could do it, but people gonna be like, why you did that? Instead of being like, ooh, you in trouble, or our ancestors gonna get you, you know what I'm saying? It's not that kind of way. And it does not say must behavior. So now here we go. Laws. Now we already know without even reading this thing that it's a must behavior. We have to follow the laws. A must behavior, not necessarily a basic or important pattern of people. So it's not really related to death, but just in general. But one which is enforced by those governing under the action of police power. So that should be a pretty easy definition to remember. Everybody know police power has the law. Anything governing has to do with the law. And then here is enculturation and socialization. It's the method by which the social values are internalized, so they're learned. Enculturation, and everybody know in, so within, the method which the social values are internalized or learned. So remember, enculturation and socialization are the same. Okay, if you see the word socialization, it's the same in enculturation. It's something that is learned. Okay, it's the method by social values. The method by which the social values are internalized. It's learned. A subculture is a division or a smaller identifiable unit of culture connected to a larger culture by common traits having unique traits to itself. The traits including geographic, religious, ethnic, language, or other. Okay. So once again, a subculture is a division or a smaller identifiable unit of culture connected to a larger culture by common traits having unique traits to itself. Okay. And once again, the traits including geographic, religious, ethnic, language, other. Okay. So subculture, sub usually mean a division of something. Or a smaller identifiable unit of culture connected to a larger culture. I guess by common traits having unique traits to itself. It's going to talk about that, I believe, and hear about that. Cultural universal, like or similar, abstract patterns of and for living and dying, which are identifiable in all cultures. So technically, it's what most cultures do. Funerals. That's probably what every culture does the same. Everybody has a funeral. No matter where you're from, they do funerals. They may do, the way they do it is different, but they all do it. Okay? Okay. Ethnocentrism. The emotional attitude that one's own race, nation, group, or culture is superior to all others. America. Okay. Cultural relativism. It's the emotional attitude that all cultures are equal and pertinent. So this person just feels like everybody is valuable. You know, when you have cultural relativism. It's the emotional attitude that all cultures are equal and pertinent. So industrialization is the change from independent, multi-talented, self-sufficient family units to employment of family members in jobs outside the unit, making them dependent on outside resources for their total needs. So, industrialization, the change from independent, multi-talented, self-sufficient family units to employment of family members in jobs outside the union. Basically, that's just our customs here in America. You know, like the Amish, they will do a lot of things on their own and not really have to worry about if somebody passed away. Whereas us Americans, you know, there's wives that stay at home all the time and they take care of the kids. But if their husband dies, there's you know, they got to worry about how they're gonna pay the bills because they stayed at home and their husband went out and worked rather than being home and having farms and stuff like that. Okay, so urbanization is the change from rural to urban in character. Okay, bureaucratization is the creation of a system which governs through departments and subdivisions managed by sets of officials following an inflexible routine. Inflexible, that is highlighted, so y'all may want to highlight that. Is subdivisions managed by sets of officials following an inflexible routine. So it's the creation of a system which governs through departments and subdivisions managed by a set. I'll talk to y'all about these glasses. My eyes burning too. What's wrong for this? I'm terrible. Okay then. Alright. They might be a little crooked, but that's okay. Alright. Religion is a culturally entrenched pattern of behavior made up of 1. Sacred beliefs. 2. Emotional feelings accompanying the beliefs. 3. Overt conduct, presumably implementing the beliefs and feelings. And then funeral practices more tied to this than any other factor. So it's 3 things: sacred beliefs, emotional feelings accompanying the beliefs, and overt conduct, presumably implementing the beliefs and feelings. Okay. So ceremony, which is in parentheses, it has rite and ritual, more so ritual. It's an instrumental action dealing with death that is also expressional and that may or may not be charged with a symbolic content expressing, among other things, the attitudes of the participants and possible onlookers. Passive participants. Okay, let me read that again so this makes sense. An instrumental action dealing with death that is also expressional and that may or may not be charged with symbolic content expressing, among other things, the attitudes of the participants and possible onlookers. Onlookers are passive participants who may be regarded as co-beneficiaries. Deeper meaning behind actions, how these are viewed by the individual. Discuss application and purpose of sociology in funeral service. Okay, the funeral rite is a social function. We talked about that earlier. The funeral rite as a cultural universe includes universal act. Methods vary from culture to culture. We talked about that earlier as well. But one of the things that are different that people do is the announcement of death. Because in the history, you'll learn that the Romans, they did different things. Like they had precos, or people had criers, where they technically cried and tore their garments to let people know, or no, not let people know. They tore their garments and cried because they wanted to impress the ancestors so they wouldn't be upset. Some of them believed, dealing with the Egyptians, the Romans, and I believe the Greek, they believe certain things about the ancestors, and also, I think it was the medieval time period, believe if you didn't do certain things, you was in trouble. So it's different. They did announcement of death, care of the deceased. Egyptians did different things when it came to the method of embalming and things of that nature. A method of disposition, ceremony, or ritual. Memorialization. How do they retain the memory? Okay, so then they start to break things down so you can get a better understanding of different family types. So the family. So there are the types of family. So the patriarchal family is the father. We know usually rules, and usually when the father dies, when it's that kind of family, the oldest son kind of takes over that role. The matriarch is the mother that rules, and the woman hold a position analogous, sound like it was raining, to that of the patriarch. Egalitarian is a male or female. They have equal rights, which is probably the majority of America at this point. Extended joint family. Okay. It's a membership within the household, includes father, mother, all their children except married daughters. Daughters, you got to get out once you get married. Go to your husband's house and his family. Their sons and wives and children except married daughters living in one household. Okay. So technically, for the extended joint family, like the Amish that I told you about earlier, they can stay there, except for when you're a daughter and you get married. I guess it's kind of like a same thing. Like they go to his mama's house or whoever, however that works, and they go like that. You can't stay here because you got a man. Peace. So let's see. Let me check our clock, y'all. See what we got here. Uh-oh. Let's see timer. Okay. So a television. Oh no. Then we got common characteristic historically when it deals with the joint family, extended joint family. Remember that, extended joint family. The common characteristic is patriarchal, father as the undisputed head of the family, agricultural based, farm life, rural environment, economics extremely self-sufficient unit, religious function, religion taught at home, very strong religious belief. Women are subservient position, restricted mobility, family will spend generations at the same farm. Okay. Most members of the family structure will never travel more than 50 miles from home, with the exception of those male members of the household that get drafted into the military. The impact of death on a member. I think we spoke of this earlier. A death of a member does not threaten the unit to any great extent, since all members of the unit contribute equally and are able to fulfill the duties of a member who has died. See, like I said, like I guess death really tears people up when somebody is like financially helping or mentally there for you, physically there for you. So it's like, that's really what be going on. But it looked like the extended joint family members be like, okay, we already got our religion where we know it's going to be times where people die. We know where you're going. Keep it moving. So I guess that's what this is. I can't say that I blame them, but I don't feel like that, even though I got my beliefs. I'm a little nervous about people going away from me. Okay. So next is the nuclear family. It is a membership within the household, includes one man, one woman, and their children, if any. Okay. That's just, seems like just a regular family. Now that we know it's called a nuclear family. Their common characteristics may be patriarchal, matriarchal, or egalitarian. Power and prestige of membership not uniformly determinable. Economic structured around total income of the unit. Both people work. So that's kind of what's going on now. You don't hear a lot of the other ones. Like I said, it's more of Amish people or people with the strong religious, where most kids stay at home. The moms stay at home all the time. So that's usually where that comes from. Religious function, religious training, institutional base, if any. Mobility, the state or quality of being mobile. The ability to move from place to place readily, or to move from class to class, either up or down. Impact of death of a member. Death of the breadwinner. Or either spouse. Hi guys. I'm back. I don't know what happened to my camera, but it was tripping. Anyway, so we're back. And so I'm gonna start from, I think we said mobility, then we had the impact of death. Okay, so death of the breadwinner or either spouse, where the economics are such that both contribute, may cause great economic hardships on the remaining spouse. Death of either mate leaves the remaining spouse to rear children alone. Death of either mate forces the remaining spouse to re-enter society as a widow or a widower. That's for the nuclear family. And the modified extended family. Let's see. So the modified extended family, nuclear family linked to another nuclear family. So it's a modified extended family, but there's links of a nuclear family to another nuclear family. So it consists of related marriage nuclear families, or generally sisters with their respective husbands and children. So it sounds like to me, like just if you have siblings, y'all connected to one each other, and that becomes a modified extended family. And people nowadays have friends, so they become family as well. Interaction at the time of death. The right offers a social function that allows members of the system to give security and demonstrate help. Single parent family, we already know what that is. Blended family is a membership consists of one male, one female, and the children from the previous marriages, and it may include children from the present marriage. Your kids, my kids, our kids. Blended. So other is a multi-generational household. Now this is where they got me on this book. It's similar to the old extended family, but this one is not agriculturally based, mainly because the reason why they together is not because that's just something they grew up with and that's part of culture, but because these are found during the modern times in large metropolitan areas. And is when the children ain't doing what they're supposed to do, basically. Grandparents are the only ones with any stability, education, jobs, and drug-free. That's what this book says. I didn't really learn too much about that in school. I don't remember that. But anyway, their children, they say losers, now with children are all living under one roof supported by the grandparents. That was always weird to me when they talked about it. Neither here nor there. All right. Movement away from the joint family structure brought about industrialization is the change from independent, like the Amish, and it becomes to where the family members in jobs outside the unit, making them dependent on other outside resources for almost everything. Family must use outside sources to meet their needs. Loss of craftsmanship and urbanization is the change from rural to urban in a character. Move away to city to get a job. It's difficult for the funeral director to know each other. You know, back in the day, the funeral directors knew family. It's hard to know now because people are from here and there. Born in South Carolina, come to Jacksonville. Born in Jacksonville, go to South Carolina. Born in South Carolina, go to Tennessee. From Tennessee to Pennsylvania. Crazy. So, how modern society affects the family. It changes the attitudes towards marriage and divorce and not sacred anymore. People just live together. They mad on this book. Extended life expectancy, longevity has reduced the family exposure to death. I know they might be mad, but I'm happy about it. Okay. Death in institution, hospital, nursing homes, or hospice care facilities. A decline in visible death because people will put you in the hospital quick, the nursing home quick. Well, not like they used to keep you at the house. Grandpa passed away, he's still in there. They ain't like that no more. Placing of older members of the family in an old age home give rise to the isolation of the old. Their death becomes more abstract. Okay. So, social factors which affect American funeral rites is economics. Poor people spend the most on funerals. So they say. This is what they're saying. I don't know. They say they spend a lot on the funerals because typically they try to show how much they care for the person. I'm guaranteeing that's what it is. They spend the highest dollar amount and the highest percentage of their available money. Often the funeral is the biggest event to ever take place in the lives of some poor people. Social stratification, categorization of people by money, prestige, and power, a ranking of social status or position, such as upper, middle, or lower class. Funeral rite may represent a status symbol. The lower social stratification of Americans tend to experience the highest frequency of death. So, geographic. An area in which a family lives will affect the conduct of the funeral rite. Neo-localism. As kids move away from the area where they're born in, but generally take their practices with them. So they might be born, like I said earlier, in Tennessee, and they move to Potomac. I like that show. They move to Potomac and they take everything that they learned from where they was from and have their funeral right there. That's just how it goes. Okay. The family structure is everything. Matriarch, patriarch, egalitarian. Everybody can rule. The families are adherents to certain denominations. Modern, free-thinking people don't need some of the members of clergy to tell them what to do with their family time. Funerals are very personal, family-oriented. Government. That's just the word, government. Educational level. People with a lot of education spend very little on funerals. Here again, well-educated people don't need some clergy person to tell them what to think. Ethnicity still plays a very large role in what people choose at funeral time. True. Very true. Changes in American funeral rites. There have been significant changes in funeralization during the 20th century, and even more in the very early part of the 21st century. Location of the funeral. Increasingly, there is the use of another type of facility that has no resemblance to a funeral home or church, such as a banquet hall. That is true. I have seen people have book a banquet to have a funeral, especially if it's really, really big. Well, not really. I don't know, but some people do it. I have seen it in other places besides the church. Yeah. But as an African American, most African Americans have it in a church that I have seen. Preparation of the body. There may be little or no preparation depending on the type of services chosen. People are choosing cremation more, but like I said, what I've witnessed is still having, a lot of them are still having services, so there's still embalming happening. But I guess it would save them money when it comes to a casket, because they do the embalming just so they can have, the social function, but the cremation helps them save money on a funeral, and then they can keep that person dear and clear to their heart. Direct involvement by the family. Family members are becoming much more involved as active rather than passive participants in the funeral. Increased responsibility placed on funeral director. Often no member of the clergy is present. Yeah, that's true. People don't be having even pastors at the funeral no more. They be having their brother talk. I'm just saying. Okay. So, need for increased knowledge in social sciences. As a funeral director, you're going to need more of this because clergy is not considered a big thing like it was before. Need for increased counseling ability. Okay. The less importance placed on casket. This is what they're saying. The casket is no longer a prominent focus of the funeral. So they say. Like I say, different cultures do different things. I still see it as a big deal. Unless it's just the money. It's the money. The casket, if any, represents a smaller portion of the total expense. Increase in charges for services rendered by a funeral director. More grief, financial canceling. The life of the deceased, or simply the deceased becoming the focus of the funeral. Okay. Influence of the automobile or other readily available forms of transportation. Burial at a greater distance from the home. Yes. A selection of funeral home no longer influenced as much by its proximity to the family. No, because some people just don't like certain funeral homes anymore. Yeah. I can say too much more. Selection of funeral home no longer influenced by that home. As long as it can be reached easily by car, families will travel longer distances for better service or facility. Yeah. In major metropolitan areas, a location near a major expressway interchange may be very important in location. Location and location. Emphasis on location. Okay. Note. Selection of funeral home is no longer based on how close it is to the home, or if it's one of the family, or if it is the one that the family has used in previous years. Also, memorial parks are more popular than churchyard cemeteries. However, earthen burial in a metal casket is still the #1 mode of final disposition. Okay. Influence of the airplane and air freight. Okay. Transportation of remains over long distances in a short period of time. Facilities return of family members to traditional family burial grounds. So #1 was transportation of human remains over long distances in short periods of time. 2 is facilities return of family members to traditional family burial grounds. 3 is family member able to attend funeral rites of relatives in other areas of the nation. Okay. And then we're going to the next thing is influence of disposition. Okay, #1 is transition from the churchyard cemeteries to the memorial parks type cemeteries. An increase in cremation, rising still, body donation, entombment, and direct burial. Okay. The influence of organized religions. #1 being traditional funeral rite. #2 being adaptive. That's basically anything that's different from traditional. Humanistic, I believe, or adaptive is anything that you want it to be. And I think humanistic is anything devoid of the traditional. And then immediate disposition. Another thing is influence of immigration. Hispanic, now the #1 minority group in the U.S. This is the one reason of the Catholic Church serves the largest number of professed religions adherents and has grown from 60 million in 2000 to 66 million in 2005. Southern Baptists remain in second at 36 million. Yeah, so that's quite a bit. I just read adaptive. It's a funeral rite that is adjusted to the needs and wants of those directly involved. One which has been altered to suit the trends of the times. Okay, so it's whatever you really want. We'll adjust it to your needs and wants. We already know what blended family is. It's a member consists of male and female, and a blend from the previous marriage or relationship and your children that y'all had together, and it's just all blended up. Bureaucracization is the creation of a system which governs through departments and subdivision, managed by a set officials following an inflexible routine. They had that highlighted in the book, so I'm gonna highlight it in the glossary because we're in the glossary right now. Ceremony, which I told y'all is also ritual, but it had right inside of the book, but right now I'll just say ritual. It's an instrumental action dealing with death that is expressional and that may or not be charged with a symbolic content. Okay, I ain't gonna read all of it because we read it inside the thing. But you repetitive. Okay, remember everything's repetitive. As you can see, that was inside the book, telling us about different stuff, given a little bit in depth, but basically it's the glossary. Okay, class is a social grouping in which members possess roughly equivalent culturally valued attributes. Okay. Contemporary is living or happening in that time. So whatever is happening in that same period is contemporary. Okay. Cultural relativism is the emotional attitude that all cultures are equal and pertinent. Okay. Cultural universal, like abstract patterns of and for living and dying, which are identifiable in all cultures. Okay. Like, you know, okay. Culture consists of abstract patterns, which was also like cultural universal. It said like abstract patterns, but in culture it said consist of abstract patterns. The rules, ideas, beliefs shared by members of society of the living, for the living and dying, which are learned directly or indirectly. So culture is learned indirectly or directly. I will highlight that because I think that's a big thing that you'll remember when you take the test. Customs. Social behavior as dictated by the tradition of the people. So it's a social behavior that is dictated by the tradition of the people. Social behavior that is dictated by the people, by the tradition of the people. So customs is dictated by the tradition. So by the tradition. Okay, demographic pertaining to demography. It's the science of vital statistics, births, deaths, and marriages. Y'all, vital statistics. I don't want to, should I put it in? Yeah, so demographic is pertaining to demography, the science of vital statistics. We know vital statistics. If you've worked in a funeral home, vital statistics, because that's where you go get your, or the health department stuff. That's where you go get the stuff from. So you should know that. Demographic. Remember, demographic is about who are you? How old are you? You know, like just everything. We need to know everything about your life. Okay. Egalitarian is male and female having like almost equal, you know. Male and female having equal rights, duties, and governing power. Enculturation, same thing as socialization, is the method by which the social values are internalized, they're learned. Once again, internalized and learned. Okay. Ethnic, any of the basic divisions or groups of mankind distinguished by customs, characteristics, or language. Okay. Any of the basic divisions or groups of mankind distinguished by customs, characteristics, or language, etc. Okay. Ethnocentrism. The one that's not so nice is the emotional attitude that one's own race, nation, or culture is superior to everybody. Everybody else is inferior. You're below. Okay. Exclusive. The autonomy of inclusive is literally excluding items or members that do not meet certain conditions. With inclusive is including almost everything within its scope. That's deep. Okay. Extended joint family. Think of Amish. Okay. This is the membership within the household, includes the father, mother, all their children except the married daughters. Y'all gonna see now when y'all get married, y'all got a man now. Come on. Their sons and wives and children. Family of orientation, the family into which one is born. Family of procreation, the family established by one's marriage and the production of children. Folkways. Okay, y'all remember the mores, the taboos, and the folkways. Sorry. Mores is very different. It's a must behavior. It's a strong reaction. Y'all remember that. Remember that taboos, not so much a strong reaction. They ain't really dealing with that like that. But folkways is, I believe, is it a must behavior as well? No, that one's not a must behavior. But I believe taboos is a must behavior, but it's not as serious. Folkways is like a little under the more thing. Like the people ain't gonna flip on y'all. So I'm gonna read it. Behaviors are construed as somewhat less compulsive than mores of the same society. They do not call for a strong reaction from the society if violated. Okay. Funeral. Rites with the body present. Can't say it anymore. A funeral. Just the funeral word. Funeral. Body present. Okay. Funeral rite. All inclusive term used to encompass all funerals and memorial service. Everything that you should get. Okay. Funeralization is a process involving all activities associated with final disposition. Humanistic funeral rite, a funeral rite that is in essence devoid of religious connotation. Immediate disposition, any disposition of human remains which is completely devoid of any form of funeral rite at the time of disposition. Industrialization is the change from independent, multi-talented, self-sufficient family units, the Amish, and now we turn into the nuclear family. So we come from the extended joint family, which is the Amish, like people who work at home. Everything's at their house on their farm for years. And we turn into the nuclear family where we look for the outside stuff to give us resources and the things that we need. We need butter, we go buy it. Amish people, they gonna make their butter. So industrialization, the change from independent, multi-talented, self-sufficient family units to employment of family members in jobs outside the unit, making them dependent on outside resources for their total needs. Laws, a must behavior, not necessarily a basic or important pattern of people related to death, but one which is enforced by those governing. Matriarchal, the mother rules the family. That's all you need to know. Memorial service, funeral rites with the body not present. Memorial service, nobody. Memorial service, nobody. Okay. Mobility, the state or quality of being mobile. The ability to move from place to place readily. Modern, of or characteristics of the present or recent times. Not ancient, often used to designate certain contemporary tendencies. Remember, contemporary means same period. So it does say that the same period. Yeah, living or happening in the same period. And modern is present time. Often used to designate contemporary tendencies. Okay, mores is a must behavior, the basic and important patterns of ideas and acts of people as related to treatment of the dead, which calls for a strong reaction from the society if violated. Multi-generational household. 3 or more generations of the same immediate family living in the same house. Grandparents, adult children, and grandchildren. Localism. The tendency of an offspring to move away from the area which they were born. Non-traditional funeral, a funeral which deviates from the normal or prescribed circumstances of established custom. Nuclear family, membership within the household includes one man, one woman, and their children, if any. Patriarchal, the father rules. Pre-literate society, a culture developed before the invention of writing, and hence leaving no written record. Primitive, funeral rite, a funeral rite which may be construed as being identifiable with a pre-literate society. Yeah. Religion is a culturally entrenched pattern of behaviors made up of, it's 3 of them, y'all. Sacral beliefs, emotional feelings accompanying the beliefs, and overt conduct, presumably implementing the beliefs and feelings. Okay? Rite. Rite is an event performed in a solemn and prescribed manner. Rite of passage. Ceremonies centering around the transition in life from one status to another. So, rite of passage is like a baptism, a marriage, or a funeral. Ritual. Ceremony in parentheses. A kind of instrumental action dealing with death. It's the same thing as ceremony. So rules. Specified methods of procedure generally constructed to be easily broken so fines may be levied. Ooh. Single parent family. Membership consists of one adult, either male or female, and their children. Social function, an event which people come together to share in that event. A funeral, for example. Social stratification is categorization of people by money, prestige, and power, and or social status. So upper class, lower class, upper class, middle class, and lower class. Socialization and enculturation is something that is learned. The method by which the social values are internalized. They're learned. Society, a group of persons forming a single community with some interests in common. Okay. Sociology is the science of social groups, the process that tend to maintain or change these forms of organizations and the relations between the groups. Step family. Okay. A step family is the family one inquires when a parent enters a new marriage, whether the parent was widowed or divorced. Subculture, a division or a smaller identifiable unit of culture connected to the culture by common traits, having unique traits to itself. Religion, language, or geography. Symbol, anything to which socially created meaning is given. Taboos, dictates the individual must abstain from certain acts dealing with death. Traditional funeral rite, a funeral rite that follows a prescribed ritual or ceremony which may be dictated either by religious beliefs or social custom. And urbanization is the change from rural to urban, from farm to the city. Okay, I hear my baby. And when we come back,